Welcome back to Race Day Preview. It is, of course, Safer Gambling Week. It launched last Thursday and many people, many charities all getting involved. One of those is Racing to School, and John Blake represents them and joins us on Skype. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Martin. Great to see you.
You too, and just amazing to read there that Racing to School celebrating its 20th anniversary next year.
Yes, absolutely. We're very excited about that. It was 19 years ago that the first sort of 1,000 pupils, the first 1,000 sort of cohort went on Racing to School days. Very clever people, my predecessors, far brighter than me, came up with a great idea. And we've kept it going ever since. I mean, it's grown to a record number last year of almost 15,500 young people. Obviously, this year has presented its challenges for us, as of course for everyone else, and we'll probably limp over the line with sort of 4,000 participants this year. But we're very confident and ambitious to sort of get back to those record-breaking numbers. But yes, we're very pleased that we've reached that sort of landmark next year. So many people to thank for that. Our partners, beneficiaries, racecourses, trustees and staff, of course. But yeah, there'll be a big, making a lot of noise about that next year. So looking forward to celebrating that.
And for anybody that's maybe heard the name Racing to School before but doesn't know exactly what you do, just tell us sort of the mission statement and the aims of Racing to School.
Yes, it's really just to use the assets of horse racing and its great ability and the way it opens its doors to young people as a learning background, as a fast-moving classroom, to use racing environments like race courses, obviously, but also training yards and studs and other racing organisations as well, to be able to give young people a new and exciting experience of learning in a sport that the vast majority of them have had no contact with before and know very little about. Maybe they've been to a firework display somewhere or a car boot sale or whatever it might be. And maybe they have been to the odd racing day, but mainly our youngsters who start on the programme when they're 9 years old will not have had any sort of contact with the sport, even if a racecourse is sort of half a mile down the road. So we certainly want to connect community with racing. We do that through an education program, which is supported and structured by teachers in terms of the way we go about linking it to the curriculum. So maths is a massive part of it, literacy, teamwork, confidence building, and really getting them out and about in the fresh air and building a good camaraderie between them as well, which is often overlooked in terms of the value of our days.
And you've got projects, I believe, in both Newmarket and up in Liverpool at Aintree.
Yeah, we have specific programmes. So as well as doing, in 2019, 372 days, within that, we have two concentrated programmes, the first of which was launched at Aintree a few years ago, which is split between 4 primary schools and 1 high school. And the idea behind that is to introduce them to the sport and all the work I was saying, but actually in a slightly richer way. So they would have more activity on the race course. The primary schools would have pony education days with the Aintree Equestrian Centre, and the race course is very much hands-on with that work. In the high school, would run quite a number of days around careers, around marketing exercises, really get stuck into the school and reconnect them with the race course and the meaning of racing in their area. And the Newmarket Beacon is slightly different. That focuses on 1 high school, the Newmarket Academy, led brilliantly by Nick Froy and supported very generously by Godolphin and many of the organisations around Newmarket, of course, the race courses there. And the idea behind that, we would run 28 days or so, which again is enriched programme, which is aspirational in terms of trying to connect young people with the career opportunities in the sport, but also to they had their maths activity days as well. There was a naming assembly just a few days ago where young people were asked to name a Godolphin yearling. So that was fun. And I've gone in there a few times to do mock interviews with some pupils. And Ollie McPhail is very much leads it, our program manager, and really has done a successful job of connecting that school with a town that really was somewhat disconnected from it a few years ago, but is now far through the effort and vision of Godolphin, far closer to the school now. And we want racing to be very much part of their lives. They see horses every day as they go to school, but there was really a disconnect between them really prior to the Beacon project. So that's in its 5th year now. So we're very proud of that.
And of course, Racing to Learn is your latest initiative, and that's related to this Safer Gambling Week.
Yes, I mean, the Racing to Learn platform, and firstly, if I may, just to thank my colleague Rob Sage for all his hard work in developing this programme, and Jill Greaves and the BHA and the BHA team. It's their platform. It's a really good platform. When it's used the Racing to Learn platform, there's all sorts of great courses on there, covering important issues around diversity, about COVID, plenty of stuff on that, quite rightly. And we had the idea a couple of months ago that we really wanted to put together something new around safe and responsible gambling. Yes, to serve the industry in terms of what you can and can't do, say if you're a jockey or a member of stable staff, or from that point of view. But more than that, we want to go beyond that and look at really young people, because it's a huge challenge, not just us, but really for the sport to connect to young people, not just now, but in the future, in a language and in a way they understand. It's incredibly busy marketplace, as we know, for entertainment and leisure, and we want young people to look at racing as something which is fun and safe, maybe even employment opportunities. So that was some of the rationale behind it, and we put together what we hope is a fairly straightforward, not frightening, 20-minute or so interactive module, which takes you through, as I said, some of the sport aspect, but also then leads into young people and gaming and gambling and the links between those things. Viewers may have heard of loot boxes and esports and the exponential growth there. For those of you who read the Daily Mail, you've seen screaming headlines saying 55,000 young people have a gambling problem. I don't particularly believe that necessarily, but the Gambling Commission have done quite a bit of research around this, and if they're saying 260,000 people in our country have experienced some sort of gambling difficulty, then it follows, does it not, that young people will be affected by that in some ways. And gambling comes in different forms, of course. We're not talking about them going into the bakers and putting a bet over the counter in their school uniform, but it could be engaging in gaming activities such as loot boxes, as I said earlier, or scratch cards. Young people could do that at 16, of course. So it was really interesting to delve into that. Again, a sort of a credit, if I may, to YGAM, Young Gamers and Gamblers Education Trust, who've been doing a lot of work in this area, really ahead of the game in terms of connecting with young people about digital resilience and understanding those links between gaming and gambling. We're just dipping our toes in, to be honest. And that's what I've felt, and the team has felt, that if racing can't be out in front of this, the only sport which is inextricably linked and therefore reliant upon in so many ways, the gambling industry and our positive, confident, safe relationship, then we're letting other people steal a march on us. I mean, it's something which I've thought about for a long time, and I think we really need to be getting stuck into this with others, not in a frightening way, not in a way that doesn't take people with us. But I really think we need to be addressing that if we want to connect with young people. We can talk about welfare, we can talk about use of the whip, and I've road tested this on many young people. They're not interested in those subjects per se, but if you talk to them about gaming, gambling, that you're beginning to get conversations going. And just one small anecdote. I mean, my 12-year-old daughter's school sent me a 17-page document last week about relationships and sex education policy, which frightened me to death, I might tell you straight away. 17 pages, plan to equip young people with knowledge, vital health knowledge, future adult knowledge that they need at that age, all planned out, year 7, year 8, 9, etc. It got to page 9, it said it weren't promoting sexual activity for underage, which I was rather pleased about. But it dawned on me that it's equally important that we give this resilience to young people around financial matters, and gambling falls into that, not in a frightening way. It didn't frighten, well, it sort of didn't frighten me, the sex education policy, but it's important. Like drugs awareness, important. Those are things, and I think we should have those conversations. If we don't have them as racing, then, well, other people are going to steal a march on us in some ways, but more than that, I think there'll be misunderstanding. It'll just be a noisy absence in terms of not talking about these for young people who we want to connect with racing in ever greater numbers.
And John, the module you've put up about responsible and safer gambling, give us a couple of examples of the tasks or the questions that anybody who goes to complete that module would be faced with.
Of course. And the first thing to say is it's something which you get a certificate at the end, which is always fun, but it's part of continuous professional development, and there are sort of points towards that. And I said we've tried to frame it in a sort of balanced way. Don't want to patronise people with some simplicity, but equally not make it too advanced that you lose your audience. So we're going to get that, hopefully about right. But yes, it's narrated, so it's 34 slides, which we go through, which hopefully are very interactive, and there is the multiple choice questions as you go along. So there's an opportunity just to read and learn, and whether it's about can jockeys bet or not, if a member of staff at a training yard left the yard within a 21-day period, are they allowed then to, for example, lay a bet horse that's trained in that yard? Really important stuff that is linked totally to the rules and integrity of our sport. But then also look at some of the issues around, as I said, young people's relationship with gaming and therefore with gambling as well. There's some quite startling stats in there. Young people that have said they've gambled have a greater propensity to vaping or drinking alcohol or taking drugs. And these are studies by the Gambling Commission. They aren't just back of, they're not just things we've written down on a napkin. I mean, they're proper stats that are out there. I don't feel personally a full picture of it. And I think it's just developing in terms of connecting with people in that regard. And gambling is something which can often be hidden, can't it? I mean, it's, people who have difficulties with alcohol or drugs tend to manifest themselves in a public way, sadly, with gambling, and especially young people have got secrecy. There aren't the outward signs in the same way as there are those other difficulties. But it's not about demonizing gambling. Far from it. It's about pointing to the great helpers out there, racing welfare, of course, to curb in our industry. Outside our industry, or inside as well, is the work GamCare, Gamble Aware. We've all seen those adverts and when the funds stopped, and the thing, and all the things have changed hugely in the last decade. The Gambling Act is being reviewed right now, and should we be involved? As I know, colleagues of mine in the BHA who work tirelessly on this are involved in it, framing that conversation in a positive way that shows that racing, cares about this.
And if anybody wants to access, lastly, John, the module that you've uploaded, how can they do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I say, it's free. It should take about 20, 25 minutes, so you can do it in your lunch break or whatever you want. You go onto the Racing to Learn. So that's racing2learn.com. Just register. As I said, totally free. Get yourself an account and do our module. Well, that'd be great. But look at the others. Some brilliant stuff there.
Lovely. John, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Good to catch up. Job Blake from Racing to School there with the latest on Safer Gambling Week. Many thanks to John. We're going to take a short pause here on Race Day Preview. More to come from Fontainebleau when we come back. Lauren's got a 16-1 stunner for us in Race 3.